Willamette, Colorado. Population 53,594. Distinguishing characteristics? Dead Rising was built off of 4 pillars: resource management, weapon choice freedom, zombies, and rescuing survivors. Dead Rising 1 was a great start to the series and used these pillars as a solid foundation. During 72-hour mode, you have about 6 real-time hours to complete the main storyline. After overtime mode, the total time comes out to about 7 to 7.5 hours. During this time, you'll have to deal with psychopaths and escort survivors to the safe house, all while trying to avoid the zombies. While most games usually have an unlimited amount of time to do side missions, Dead Rising gives you an allotted amount of time within the 72 hours that you have. Depending on how you budget your time, you'll be forced to gather multiple survivors if you want to play through the game perfectly. There are so many times when I goof off for too long and arrive to a mission by the skin of my teeth, or don't show up at all. Due to this kind of time-based gameplay, you can actually softlock yourself pretty easy by saving your game while having a case mission near fail. All of the survivors need to be rescued and taken back to the safe house, and in some cases need a special requirement to trust you. The survivor AI is infamously terrible in this game, so rescuing a survivor seems simple, but when they can't walk in a simple fucking line, it gets aggravating. Weapon choice and zombies were the biggest selling point for this game. So you're telling me I can pick up anything in the mall and smack a zombie with it? Yes, okay. Yeah, you can use anything from a 2x4 to a battle axe, to your own spit, to a Mega Buster. There's so many weapons in this game, and it's like the childhood dream of playing a game and being able to interact with everything. Some of the cooler items are double-handed, so you can't slap them in your pocket for later. The zombies you kill are insanely aggro and grab you constantly, so they're an obstacle that is always present. If they grab you while you're holding a double-handed cool weapon, you'll actually drop it. I would say more about the zombies, but there isn't much to say. They're just zombies, you know, all that. You only have limited space for food and weapons, so depending on your situation, you'll need to plan accordingly, since chainsaws work well on zombies, not so much on psychopaths. To some people, juggling all of this stuff is very difficult, but all the 4 pillars give Dead Rising its identity, and that's why they're important. The more you change these, the less Dead Rising is Dead Rising. After the success of Dead Rising 1, Capcom let Blue Castle Games develop the future of Dead Rising. With that, we got Dead Rising 2, Case Zero, and Case West. This is important for later on, it's not just a rehash of what everybody else was saying. After being bought by Capcom, we got Dead Rising 2 Off the Record, the best Dead Rising game, and everything past that, so 3 and 4. Right now, we're gonna ignore Dead Rising 2, Case West, and Case Zero, and hop straight into Off the Record, since it's 2, but better. Blue Castle Games took notes on Dead Rising and its 4 pillars. When Capcom slid the test over, Blue Castle Games fucking cooked. The time limit and missions are pretty much the same as the first game, with some additions. After the events of the first game, there's now a brand new drug that can suppress the zombification process, so those infected can live another day. Along with the side missions and case missions, you'll also have a timer on when you'll need Zombrix. In Dead Rising 2, you had to give it to your daughter, which some people didn't really like all too much since you had to go all the way back to the safe house, but in Off the Record, you can take it whenever you need, with the only caveat being you drop your weapon. The survivors are way better this time around, with better AI and the ability to actually comprehend what you're saying. Some of the survivors still need some requirements to save, but they're a bit more extreme this time around, having you find somebody before you save them, or handing them Zombrex before they come with you. The weapons also got a buff in this game, expanding the number of items you could use and adding combo weapons for even crazier shenanigans. I'm telling you, Fortune City has it all. We got a casino.
A casino.
We got a mall.
We got a mall.
We got a theme park.
Theme park.
It's simple yet so effective when it comes to adding unique items you could find around the map. Most combo weapons have special moves that can be done, and some can even be comboed with a third item. The combo weapons are so useful in anything combat related, which is awesome since there are even more zombies this time around. The zombies seem a bit less aggro in this game until you get to the point in the story where Stinky starts coming through the vents and make them all buff and nasty. At that point, they can spit on you and tackle you whenever they want. The game took the 4 pillars that Dead Rising 1 made and reinforced them. We have a better take on weapons, a bit more resources to manage, a brand new type of zombie, and more interaction with the survivors. Dead Rising 2 Off the Record is, in my opinion, the best game in the series since the devs took everything from the first and second game and made them so much better. After Off the Record, Dead Rising 3 came out as an Xbox One launch title and the reception was mixed. Some people claim that this is when Dead Rising started to decline, and people have many reasons why. I don't really see many of them. Some people claim it's the art direction of the game, others claim that the psychopaths are worse than in the previous games. Dead Rising 1 and 2 had a theme of an average location filled with zombies and everything was colorful and popped out, while Dead Rising 3 took a turn and made everything bland and gray. While the city of Los Perdidos does things differently, I think it's just as Dead Rising as any other game in the series. Resource management in this game is a tricky topic. While you do have to focus on the durability of your weapons and health items, time isn't as strict as the other games. Rather than having 3 to 4 in-game days to complete the story, you have 7 to 8. To anybody who knows anything about the previous games, that sounds like there would be way more side missions, but it has the least amount of missions in all 3 games. Dead Rising 2 has the most side missions with 50 within 3 days, and you would assume Dead Rising 1, since it was the first game, would have the least amount, but with the same amount of time, it has 37 side missions. Meanwhile, Dead Rising 3 gives you 7 days to complete 30 side missions. Time is actually so insignificant that after some case missions, the game will just move you forward in time. Despite that, you still need to be conscious of the time because you can lose the missions if you don't arrive. Another resource added is attribute points. In every Dead Rising prior, specific upgrades were given per level, but in this game, you receive attribute points per level and can upgrade yourself however you want. This is a change of pace, but it's the same type of upgrades as the previous game, just with the freedom of choice added in. Also, it's not as annoying as other skill trees, so that is a plus. The citizens of Los Perdidos are way more interactive than survivors in previous games. Sometimes you gotta make a weapon, sometimes you gotta beat them in a race, sometimes you gotta find some items for them, sometimes you could just clear a horde around them to give them room to escape. After recruiting them, you could also control them more than in previous games by directing them to attack certain things or follow you. They all have different stats and can be called out of your safe house to assist you. Hold on, I think I know that from somewhere. Along with those new additions, there's also a crazy rework to the weapon combos. You still have the basic stuff like nail bat and knife gloves, but they upped the ante this time around by adding multiple tiers to newer weapons, and they added even more combo vehicles than in the previous game. You don't need to find a maintenance room anymore since Nick is a mechanic and is a total whiz with the wrench. This is the game where combos became over the top, but in classic Dead Rising fashion, they added even more zombies. And not only did they add more zombies and different types of zombies, but they also took their time to implement real-time damage with bladed weapons. They can lose arms, shoulders, they can be sliced in half. It's all fucking amazing to look at. There's also procedurally generated gore with the zombies randomly missing jaws or eyes. The different types of zombies have different personalities and special skills, like the football zombie with their tackle and the police zombie blindly firing their guns. Using the extremely over-the-top weapons to mow down a world record amount of zombies is prime video game experience. And whether you like it or not, aside from some of the resource management, 3 of the 4 pillars are strengthened, while 1 pillar is weakened but is still active. While some people claim that Dead Rising lost its spark here, I honestly think this game does Dead Rising pretty well. It's not as colorful as the other games, but it still takes a normal guy in a horrifying zombie outbreak with a comedic undertone. I would actually argue that Dead Rising has stayed Dead Rising all the way up until the final installment. Dead Rising 4 has already been beaten into the ground due to the overwhelming amount of shit they took into mouths of fans, so I feel like I shouldn't really go into it. But I just started making videos like a year ago. I need my fill. I don't know what is going on with this game. There's no time limit, the zombies are extremely buggy, literally attacking me without attacking, the item pickups are extremely limited, the psychos are boring, Frank West is not Frank West, and the Blackest Friday was such a lazy hard mode. Who made this fucking game? The combo weapons and vehicles are one thing about this game that stays true to its origin, but the zombies aren't even fun to kill since they somehow have less on screen than Dead Rising 2, but you don't even want to kill them because the entire game feels like shit to play. I'm sorry. I want to make a video about it so bad, but I can't beat the game. It keeps crashing. This is where Dead Rising really lost it all. This game was made for nobody. The timeline of events is weird with Dead Rising. The first game was made by Capcom and it was amazing. Blue Castle Games made all of the Dead Rising 2 installments except one, and that was Off the Record. By the time Off the Record was made, Blue Castle had already been acquired by Capcom and renamed Capcom Vancouver. So they used the Dead Rising 2 template for Off the Record, and then some of the higher-ups wanted the gameplay to be modernized, which led us to Dead Rising 3. Now here's the worst part. The previous teams had people on their team from the likes of Ruby, Devil May Cry, Mega Man, previous Dead Rising games. Dead Rising 4 switched up the team. We lost the main writer who's been there since Dead Rising 2 for the man who wrote Prototype 2 story. Now tell me how you get the man who wrote Prototype 2 story and think he's good enough for Dead Rising story. Look at Dead Rising story has never really been the best thing ever, but Prototype 2 story was laughably awful. And Dead Rising 4 story, laughably awful. I can't believe I didn't see this sooner. I should have known. I'm not gonna only put the blame on him. Shannon Campbell was there too. I don't know anything that they wrote off the top of my head except Dead Rising 4. I can't really complain about them. But Jeffrey, goddammit, I honestly can't find anything else about the rest of the team except Joe Nichols, the person who went on these news sources and just completely lied about what Dead Rising 4 was. He's been executive producer for some Sims 4 content, FIFA and FIFA and FIFA and FIFA and Connect Sports. And then he comes over to Dead Rising 4. Somebody put him in charge, director. And this is what we get. We lost Dead Rising with Joe Nichols. Look, man, I'm sorry for going on that tangent, but holy fuck, dude. It genuinely was such an amazing game until 4. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't like 3, that's your issue. 3 is amazing. But with that being said, we have confirmation on a Dead Rising remake. I hope it's good. Oh my god, if it's good, we are fucking back, guys. We are back if it's good. It better be.